Well, let's see briefly how to work with Amazon EBS. From the Amazon EC2 console, on the left side, you will find the Elastic Block Store. We go into Volume, and here it shows us the EBS volumes that I currently have attached, in this case, to two EC2 instances. If I scroll down the right side, we can see which EC2 instance each volume is attached to. Then, I will click on Create Volume. The first thing we need to select is the volume type from this list. We already talked about each of these, so I'll leave it at General Purpose SSD. Then we need to assign the capacity. Let's say it will be 20 gigabytes. Notice that for this type of volume it goes from 100 to 3000 IOPS. But if I choose an SSD with provisioned IOPS, notice that I can customize how many IOPS I would need. In this case, a maximum of 20,000. So I'll leave it as it was since it's just a demo. We can choose the availability zone. You can choose your EBS to be in the availability zone where your instance will be. It doesn't make sense to have the virtual machine, processor, and memory running somewhere that is in a completely different physical location than the EBS volume. So, if you are creating the EBS volume first and then creating an instance that will use it, always make sure you create it in the correct availability zone. You can also create it from a snapshot. So, what you're going to do is, you're going to look for a snapshot. Let's say, for some reason, I want to run Ubuntu as my operating system on an instance, and I'm creating the EBS volume, and I want to start with a pre-existing image. I simply type Ubuntu in this box, and it will show me all the available Amazon Marketplace snapshots that are running Ubuntu. So, when a new volume is created from a snapshot, it is an exact copy of the original volume at the time that snapshot was taken. For now, I want to create a completely blank EBS volume. We can also say that we want to encrypt the volume and then choose a master key. By default, it will use the AWS Elastic Block Store master key. I'm going to override the selection and not encrypt it, and then you can add tags if you wish. We don't really need tags at the moment, so I'll go ahead and create the volume. It says successfully created. We'll click Close. Once you have created the volume, simply manage it by clicking on it, and you can view the properties, including monitoring. Then here, you can see the actual read bandwidth, read performance, write performance, and so on for this particular volume as it is used. You can also go to Actions, and you can create a snapshot of that volume, attach it to an existing instance. Here on the side, you can basically modify or delete the volume. So, let's say we want to attach this EBS volume to an EC2 instance that we already have created. I just click Attach Volume. I choose from the list that instance, let's say the Windows Server instance, and we click Attach, and it's done. Here in the status column already says in use, and in the other column, there is the ID of the EC2 instance to which this EBS volume was attached. So, if I click on the ID, it takes me to the EC2 panel respectively to the instance to which the EBS volume was attached. If I select it and from down here, I go to the Storage tab, we can see the EBS volume that this instance already had and the new EBS volume that we just created and attached. So here, I have this Windows Server instance. Notice there's only a 30 gigabytes EBS volume. But if I go to the Windows Disk Management utility, we can see the newly created 20 gigabytes EBS volume. I just put it online. Initialize disk, give it new volume, and click Next to all this. And there you have it, my new perfectly functional EBS volume. If we want to expand the capacity, we go back to AWS. Click on the volume ID. Select it, Actions, Modify Volume, assign 50 gigabytes, Modify. Here it warns us that if I am increasing the volume size, I must expand the file system to the new volume size. The modification may take a few minutes to complete and that I will be charged for the new volume configuration once the volume modification is started. Okay, I will click Modify, and the process begins. Once that process is finished, we can come to the instance, and in the Disk Management tool, I update. And here we have the new capacity, this time an additional 30 gigabytes. I just right-click on the active volume, extend next to all this. And here we have it, 50 gigabytes of EBS volume. If I don't want it anymore, I go back to EBS. Select that volume, Actions, Detach Volume, Detach, and it's done. I update, select it, Actions, Delete, Confirm, and it's done. So, that's how you can work with your EBS volumes. See you next time.